hard for me to hit the screen.
Yeah.
Troop Smooch in the Dog Show. Another new episode is coming up tonight. It's the Dog Show. It's the Dog Show. It's the Dog Show.
You're listening to the one and only Dog Show. Your hosts, Troop Brenson and Smooch Moncrief.
Just two dudes talking Georgia football.
Well, welcome, dog fans, to the one and only Dog Show with Troop and Smooch. And still recruiting. Everything is about recruiting right now, Smooch. And we are here as a Dog Show to walk you through. If it's a troubling time for you folks, we want to reflect that as well.
A time of healing. A time of healing today.
Yes,
Therapeutic venting and healing.
Georgia had the number one class for one day.
Yes.
And then Tyler Atkinson happens, and then but didn't reflect that, didn't affect that at all. But then James Johnson's flipped today to Texas, so Texas is cleaning up right now, and it's media days week, and Kirby is talking, Sarkisian is talking for the media, and there's a lot going on behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But we do appreciate you folks for coming on today, just about 3 days before we head off to Alaska for
Yes, sir.
me and Smooch are going to call Lost in Alaska. So we're going to be lost there for a week, and we're going to show you a lot of the stuff going on that we're going to be doing. But before that, after a good weekend, I mean, Smooch, Georgia's been the recruiting has been spectacular all year long until today.
Yeah, some bad news today. We had pretty much resigned ourselves that Atkinson was going to head to Texas, even though, much like Justice Terry, we had poured so much time and resource into him. And those are mildly frustrating, like a pebble in your shoe type of frustrating when someone does that. But to then turn around and have, on some accounts, the number one interior D lineman in the country. How long was he committed, Troop?
18 days, Smooch.
18 days. And his commitment in 18 days, you know why that was. And so it does raise the frustration level. And as we can see on the various Dogs social medias, it has escalated the panic from about 2 to 7.5, maybe 8 today.
Yeah, it really did. And Georgia just, I guess, was it Saturday that Georgia got commitments from a five-star tight end and Prothrow?
It's Prothrow and Tyreek Green.
Because we really like Tyreek Green. He is a guy who is a lot like Javon Bullard kind of a player, a big hitter in the defensive backfield. And we Georgia identified him and really wanted him. But Georgia had, of course, been recruiting Tyler Atkinson for years. And it felt so much like the Justice Terry thing. If it wasn't for money, and Georgia offers these players money, if it wasn't for that, then they're dogs, or they're on campus, and you get a chance to, like we said last week, to emphasize that de-recruitment portion of being a dog, and either takes or it doesn't. But you get an opportunity to get those guys there and get them around the coaches that that we think are the best in the country. And it wasn't necessarily Tyler Atkinson, because we talked about him last week and how that something didn't feel right. He was he emphasized so much the marketing. It was, and every day it was something about, and he had his own brand, acting up.
Oh,
It's
that's
supposed to sound like acting up.
I get it.
Yeah. And that's not really that clever to me, but anyway, but it was a constant push of those type things, and always the constant social media push as well, the marketing that just didn't feel right. And I'm like, okay, your talent on the field, and the people have told me, even when I mentioned my misgivings on that, said no, well, when he actually is on the field, that dude is he is a beast.
Yeah,
you won't have to worry about that part when he's playing ball. That's what we heard. Yeah, separated. And I was still like, he doesn't feel right. And Georgia's is so deep at linebacker and inside linebacker specifically. I'm like, okay, well, we just want him. We said this for the recruiting win, for the numbers. And if we don't have him in terms of personnel, we're not going to miss him, really, I don't think. Mm-hmm. And there's always another recruiting cycle with a hot shot linebacker, always. Right. Yeah. Georgia just signed what? When you think about just the last couple of years, last year they signed Zayden Walker, another number one linebacker out of Georgia.
Right.
And then you got Justin Williams, number one linebacker out of Texas, in the country. And Chris Cole, who was a top 10 linebacker in the country also, and out of Georgia. So they just loading up on that position. So you don't miss that in terms of personnel, but you just want to have it because you want to have it.
Exactly.
And then it came to a Fort Myers player, a player that we noticed the position is always a position of need because you can't have enough special defensive linemen.
Absolutely not.
It just came out of nowhere, Smooch, that all of a sudden, bam, James Johnson, 18 days at Georgia, decommits, flips to, again, a Fort Myers, Florida dude, flips to Texas, and he's already got the horns up. And I'm like, that just feels like a slap in the face. And you wonder, before I say this, we got a couple of clips to play from Kirby, but you wonder what's next after that.
Yeah, you do feel the class feels vulnerable now when something like that can happen. When you see we're used to seeing Kirby. I was thinking, we were talking in the pre-show about KJ Bolden, and where he commits to Florida State, Kirby flips him. That's what Kirby does, and it's when you see someone else do that to the Dogs, it just adds the frustration level and the timing. I mean, Texas knew exactly what they were doing with the timing, having these two the same day, right? This is their momentum swing. This is their thing. So we saw, 9 recruits, 9 days for the Dogs. Yeah. This is Texas's version of that. This is their splash. They put a lot into it, and they nailed these two players, and they are two elite players. So hats off to Texas.
Yeah, and I went ahead and poured me, the stiffest drink I had in the house, which was a not just a regular Jack Daniels, because it's not a black label. This is Barrel Select, single Barrel Select, 130 proof actually. And so I was like, let's go ahead and pour me a good one, and we'll talk recruiting. But and the thing about Atkinson, those smooches, before we talk about Kirby Smart and media days, was that he was their third choice at linebacker, and that didn't matter to him because in the end it was about money. Right. And I've heard anywhere between $900,000 to $1.5 million for this first year, way above anything Georgia's going to, way above, because we'll play that. But he was their third choice. Griffin was their first choice. Rouse, who committed to Tennessee, their second choice, and then Atkinson was number 3. And they couldn't take that hit, and so if they had landed any of those other two, he's a Georgia Bulldog today. But it was the money. They were able to swing all that money because they couldn't take another loss at that. But it was more of a. It feels like it's more of
supply and demand. Yeah,
it is supply and demand. But then it's also that perception. You just can't keep taking L's, and so eventually you're going to shove all your chips in the middle and say, what you going to do?
That's a great analogy. They went all in today.
They did, and for two premier defensive players, which Georgia's used to getting those guys.
Right.
So have you got the Kirby Smart media day stuff queued up? Let's play a couple things, and we're going to talk about those.
If you don't love the game, don't come to Georgia. If you don't want to be coached and you don't want to be coached hard, don't come to Georgia. I just want you to love the game. And the guys that do that, they tend to, we'll coach them to go the right direction. I just need them to do it with a lot of passion and energy every day. And sometimes you don't get that in college football now.
Kirby's timing is never a mistake.
he probably knew these things, of course, before we did. Mm-hmm. But I think it's that general feeling that players are different. And he talked about this in a whole different thing during media days, is that these athletes are different because they're sitting there not hungry. Like, we want players to be hungry because they got another goal. They got something beyond where they are right now. And they're comfortable. They're sitting there with a fat paycheck, $200,000 a year.
Can you imagine at 19 years old what you would have been like with a couple $100,000 in the bank?
Or not eating off the floor at all.
That is exactly right.
And so he recognizes that. And so him saying that means we're looking for a different type of player, because you can't just be on this merry-go-round where you're losing battles like this constantly. You got to find the right player. You really don't know, Smooch. A lot of this is just bets that you take based on your interviews and getting to know players. You're making a bet. But you've got to feel like if you put 4 or 5 years into a player, it's a good bet. Mm-hmm. But they can steal at the last minute. And because they all have people in their ears, they all have different motivations. You could have these guys, you could have no stones unturned with certain players in the last minute, like what Texas had done last year, which makes it feel even more like a punch that we want to respond to.
Yes.
From Texas to Justice Terry last year. And I had a feeling about Justice Terry. I just didn't think I thought he was a good recruit from Georgia. I didn't think he was the sophisticated dude who could weigh those options the right way.
Yeah.
Being from small town middle Georgia, I was like, he's not sophisticated. It could have been anybody. It could have anybody, not just Texas.
Well, he had some very toxic people in his ear as well. You can see that during the process.
Just hearing his interviews, I thought, this guy, I don't know if I can count on him. Even if he's at Georgia, I'm like, who knows where his head is at? It just didn't feel right. And then Texas swooped in there at the last moment. And one visit after being to Georgia a dozen times, and then bam, got you. And I was like, okay, see you, because you're a guy who can disappear on a depth chart anywhere, on any school, if your mind's not right. And then what's going on right now? So Kirby's saying these things because he recognizes that it's about control, and you feel like if you can control what you can control, but a high level team like Georgia, who does everything the right way and who has the money and has the development, has the resources, has the evidence to where you're going to, if you come in here and commit to being better, what your ceiling can be. But he feels that even with that, we don't have the control anymore, because you could do all those things right. In the past, 10 years ago, you do those things, that's where Alabama was.
You're stocked up. Yep.
That's where Alabama was. And Georgia was kind of moving in that direction. That's where they were. They were loading up. They had 3 deep, just like Georgia did 3 or 4 years ago. They were loaded because you couldn't bypass that. There was nothing that there was no negative. Georgia, if Alabama came knocking at your door in 2016, 2015, you were not going to Texas. You weren't going anywhere. You weren't going to A&M. You weren't going to USC. You weren't going to Notre Dame. You weren't going to Ohio State. You were going to Alabama if Saban knocked on your door, because all those things were lined up, because he had done everything right for so long.
What it has done is Kirby is in a constant state of adaptation. That's one of the things that sets him apart and significantly from the other coaches.
He even said that today. He said
Yeah. And I think what we've seen, Troop, is the archetype of the player that is desired is now changing. Kirby is not switching, but he is growing in one area where the type of player, a player that desires the family atmosphere at Georgia, not just playing because you're getting that check, but playing because those other guys next to you count on you to play. That is now something that's factoring in huge. It used to be get them to Georgia, train them in the culture. Now we're almost recruiting guys that have a propensity for the Georgia culture in the first place, because those are the guys that are probably you have the best chance of keeping them.
So hard, yes. Play that other clip.
We sell relationships over transactions. We think the relationship still wins out because the relationship allows you to push people and demand excellence. And we're going to continue to do that at Georgia. We don't believe in just being transactional, because when you're transactional, you cannot accomplish whatever your ultimate goal is, whatever your greatest reach is, whatever the ceiling is for every player and every team we have. You don't reach that without relationships.
Yes, I love that. I loved it. I loved it even more this morning. Right now, I wonder if he had that ready to pull, if he already knew what was coming for the day.
He had to.
I don't know that, though, but he might have. But he's always also said, as coaches, it's about the Jimmies and the Joes. Mm-hmm. Got to get them here.
Got to get them.
And so it feels like if you say, Texas is not saying that right now. They don't care if it's relational or transactional. They don't care.
Good point. Fair point.
And you got to get those players on campus. You got to get them. Whatever the new landscape is, you can't lose out on these top players who are the cream of the crop in terms of talent. You got to have the most talented players if you want to compete for championships every year. And Georgia does still have a number 2 class, but that does not guarantee them anything. And the trend could be right now. I mean, when I saw this happen, I'm like, well, damn, maybe Texas, even though they're still rated below Georgia in this recruiting class, if that's what they're about right now, if that's what they're about going forward, Georgia's in trouble because they aren't selling that comment. That comment feels really flimsy right now, that it's relational over transactional, because I don't care I don't care what method you get those guys on campus, because at that point they're about it is a transactional thing anyway. For all these players it is. And so if you're dealing with that, that's a part of it.
Yeah.
And so that feels like that sounded great like 8 hours ago. It doesn't sound so good right now. When you're
Are you bringing a knife? Players. Are you bringing a knife to a gunfight? In other words, sometimes you got to fight the fight where the fight is occurring. And I've heard Coaches Smooch say things that sounded right before about we're bringing in 5-star hearts and it's brick by brick kind of. I mean, the coaches will say the right things. None of that matters if you don't get the best players. And Georgia's got great players, but there's a thin line between having the best players and the top 3 players and having a team that is just below that. Right.
And so that's just the way I feel as a fan right now. It may not reflect anything in terms of Georgia's roster. Georgia's got a great roster, but it feels like don't let this slide.
That's it.
Don't let this continue. You may feel that right now, Coach Smart. But I don't care if it's transactional. I don't care if the relation can come. You can coach. You can get these guys on track with that. I feel like if you got the right men around them.
Right. Is this an anomaly or is this the beginning of a trend? And I think that if you're going to protect your elite status, you have to consider that. Can Georgia absorb losing this one player and still be dominant? Absolutely. They have less eggs in the basket of one player of any team in the country. However, what you don't want is this to be the beginning of a slow bleed where we just slowly start hemorrhaging players. And I think that it's that not knowing. Now, we do know one thing. Kirby has a counterpunch. He has displayed in the past a counterpunch for every time he gets hit in the mouth. So what will it be and how soon will it be and what's next? And I think that as a fan, as a podcaster, we're kind of in a not knowing. And so not having the player and not knowing is a frustrating place to be.
Yeah. You feel like, okay, when you get your hackles up a little bit and Coach Smart and how he's built. And so the response is, what's next? Okay, you're going to reach into my cupboard and take, something I needed, I wanted it. I felt like it was, ours.
You had earned it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to reach into your cupboard. Let me identify somebody that you don't want to lose that we could use. And okay, here's you a bag of cash, and come to Georgia and be champions. And don't go 0-2 against the team you're competing against, and then you may have something to argue against.
Right.
And so that's where I feel like there's going to be a response. Kirby's done. We mentioned how he orchestrated that 9-for-9 event where every player had a different day, and it was like bam, bam. People were like, "Oh my goodness, this is Georgia football." There's going to be a response from this because it's not just. Now, some of his comments make me kind of reflect the way I feel because I was looking back to even last year's Smooch, and I was like, we were this close to having Caleb Downs. This close. I mean, he was basically enrolled. He was basically enrolled in classes until that late Ohio State offer where they offered him stuff he just could not refuse. And more than one thing. It wasn't just money. It was a lot of things on there. And then Justice Terry. We lost Justice Terry after 5 years of recruiting for him at the last moment.
Yeah.
And then you have Cantwell. You have Bowman. And then Atkinson, and then James Johnson. These are players that without this, for better or worse likely the financial part of the day's football are all dogs. All of them, just because of football. If it just gets down to football and the best football with the best coaches and the best product and the best environment, they're all dogs. And so that makes me, it gets under my skin
Yeah.
But it's the current landscape of football, and Kirby said it today that you have to be willing to adjust and ready to adjust. And he said we've done that. We're always ready to adjust. And he said he's excited about that. That he enjoys putting the teams together based on whatever the factors are. He likes that part of putting the team together, and that's not a negative part for him. It's not like pushing him away. But as a fan, like a day like today, you just want to like put your fist up, Kirby, and let's go to work on somebody.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is we have been trying for 3 seasons to replace in any way what Jalen Carter did in the middle of this defense. And when you start losing guys that look like they can at least carry some of that weight, that's huge because it starts in the trenches on both sides. All the flashy players and the speedy 5-stars, it starts with the guys that do the blocking and the guys that beat up the blockers. That's where it all starts. And so it's a much greater loss to lose a 5-star lineman than it is to lose a 5-star running back. That's a much greater loss.
Now, moving on, what the meat that's left on the bone for Georgia, there's a few players I want to mention.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of them. Well, Nick Abrams, a 4-star linebacker who I think Georgia really, really values him.
Yes.
Is going to commit tomorrow, midday. And everything says he's a dog. He even followed the dog show today. So that's a good sign when you follow the dog show.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm taking that as a pre-commitment commitment.
I'm thinking that, Nick Abrams is on board.
Yeah.
And but he's still in a position that Georgia's loaded with. But it softens the blow a bit from Atkinson because he could be in the long run just as good as Atkinson is.
Oh, yeah.
And then
his arms are so long. His arms are just too long for his body.
Yeah,
it's great.
83 inches or something like that. It's crazy. Yeah. The other guy that Georgia has been on for a while that everybody's not aware of is Baldwin Song.
Yes.
And he is, from everything I read about him, even though he's only rated like 92, which is a mid 4-star, but he could get a 5-star before it's over, he is a game wrecker. He is a dude that Georgia is all in on him. And they would love to pair him with James Johnson, but even if not, he is a guy that they don't want to lose him to anybody. And so they're going to pour everything into him.
And this is the guy they see as valued way above his star ranking. They're treating him like elite of the elite in terms of how they're pursuing him right now.
Yeah, because like you said, everybody says, well, is he anything close to like a Jalen Carter? And people say, well, nobody's a Jalen Carter, but he looks like a dude that he is the measure, not just his measurables, but the quickness.
He's a wrecking ball. Yeah.
And yes. And
first step. He's 320 pounds and he's only 6'3", and he carries that 320 really, really well. Usually a guy that's 6'3" and 320 is tubby. He's not. This dude can take his shirt off at the beach. Well, that doesn't stop a lot of people.
Well, he's one of those guys you throw him in there, and if on a goal line position situation, and he can carry the ball or block for you. He's that kind of athlete.
Yeah, and you're seeing we started hearing about right at the run, right at the 9-for-9 run, we started hearing, hey, Georgia is all in on Sohn. This is one of the crown jewels of this class in their eyes, and that's proven true the way they're going after him. So, yeah, that would be a huge get, especially getting Abrams and Sohn.
Yeah, those are the next two guys, both defensive players that Georgia's looking at. And there's another defensive player they are enamored with as well, who didn't, I don't know if he camps a lot, but he was a late bloomer, but with a pedigree, and that's Anthony Lunnan. Mm-hmm. And his dad played for Georgia, I think from maybe Scriven County. And but Lunnan is a guy another defensive edge player who looks like he's tough to block. He's a fella that they have circled that is not high on a lot of recruiting sites, but he did get a bump in the past couple of days from some of the re-rankings, and but just a mid 4-star player. But everything we've seen from him is if you can get Lunnan and Sohn and Abrams, those are 3 more defensive players that Kirby Smart gets those guys, and I would be excited about. Those are players they covet, and won't as dogs. And I think, but out of all those guys, I feel like the dog in all that is Abrams. So, and Abrams, and he was training actually a couple of days ago. People were like, if Georgia signs Atkinson, he may be training somewhere else. Because I mean, how many spots do you have, and what's the depth chart look like?
Well, we got one more today than we did yesterday, so
we do have another area, because it's each class. Don't look at what's going on. Don't look at C.J. Allen and Raylan Wilson. Those guys could leave for the NFL after next year.
Mm-hmm.
So don't look at your room like that. Look at it. This is my class, and you look at the class ahead of you and the class potentially behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the group of players you're going to be playing with. And so you need those fellas in every class to kind of repopulate it, because you just never know with what's going to happen. And if you're a high level athlete, but you believe in yourself anyway. You're like, listen, if I get in there and do my thing, ain't nobody keeping me off the field.
Right.
And I want players that feel that way. That's not always the case.
Michael Williams was a great example, though. He came in, heralded guy, and started against Clemson, right? First game he ever played. He started on the edge. So it can be done. But the value of these players has to do with how much better they get while making other people better. I mean, you go into most places as a 5-star, you're going to play and you're going to practice against 3-stars. At Georgia, you come in as an elite player and you're the practice partner for the starters, for the elite guys. And so that we talk about that all the time, right? We take 6 monsters, lock them in a room, and the monster that comes out gets to start. That's how Georgia sees things. So keeping that cupboard stock with guys to keep that level of competition up is extremely important. So next few days will tell us something. What is the Kirby counterpunch going to be? Those are questions that need to be answered.
What's the counterpunch? It's coming because it seemed like over the past, I guess Kirby Smart's years as Georgia head coach, he's always had a counterpunch. And if he lost a recruit, he had somebody else ready to go. He had something else ready to flip that, I guess, the script on what the feeling was. And because I think he always wants he wants everybody, the fans, to feel like that Georgia is still ahead of everybody else. And he's done that on the field a lot, and he's done it on recruiting cycles. So I'm excited about what we have, because even though we come in today feeling down a bit, and I'm mixing really heavy drinks, strong drinks, and me and Smooch are having like 30-minute pre-shows just to get our heads together, because we're so aggravated with the current landscape of college football. But I just don't know. It looks like Cooper, the high. Is he a 5-star yet? High 4-star, 5-star.
He'll be a 5-star before the season's. Yeah.
Cooper, who Georgia had wanted to pair with Jay Lamar, is training to Texas as well. We'll see if maybe that's the counterpunch from Coach Smart. Maybe he says, "Okay, this is your guy." Maybe not. Maybe not.
How far do you want to go all in on a running back? The elite running backs, that's something you go all in on. But that's one or two a class. The rest, I hate to say, there's from a high 3-star to a high 4-star. There's not as much difference at the college level as there is everywhere else at other positions. Where a 3-star may never see the field at Georgia on the D line. You can
pay attention how the NFL responds, right? NFL will tell you. You're more of an NFL guy than I am, but the people who are rated 5-stars is what the industry thinks could be a first round selection.
Mm-hmm.
And the NFL doesn't really value running backs, except for the Falcons, in that high level. They think they're disposable. They can find a guy anywhere. As long as you got a good offensive line, you can find a running back to plug in to do the job.
Mm-hmm.
There are very few of those generational type running backs, so don't spend on them.
Right.
And the same thing, I think linebackers are valued differently as well.
Right.
NFL, we'll look at an inside linebacker kind of the same way. There's only a couple, maybe one, that's going to get selected in the first round. So don't get over your skis. Even at the college level, this stuff balances back and forth. It makes sense once you determine how they're valued on the next level.
Yeah, I remember on Bijan Robinson, who the Falcons guy you were talking about, where they picked him over Jalen Carter, by the way. when the Falcons drafted him. Jalen Carter was available. He was picked the very next pick, as a matter of fact. But when the Falcons took him, I had heard that several teams didn't have a running back in the first 2 rounds on their boards even. And the Falcons went up to get him. And, he was proven to be a exceptional player in Atlanta. But it is very common for a rookie 5th-round draft pick to be the starter on an NFL team. So the value is kind of all over the map there.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's why we scratch our head sometimes. But and then if you're going to bounce back and look at the college game as well, and it could be different because we don't win games a lot of times based on what the NFL is how they're going to select the guy in the next year. But it does have some significance, and it's important to kind of, now that more money is involved on the college level, because you got to allocate money now.
Yeah,
it's very similar. It's getting more and more similar. You allocate money on positions, and I don't think most teams are lost on those lines of scrimmages. The lines of scrimmages where you should allocate the most money.
Absolutely.
And quarterback. And so it's crazy. The numbers we saw, I can't remember if I mentioned this earlier, was I think I did, but $1.5 million for an inside linebacker.
Yeah,
for Atkinson. And somebody else said, we heard 900,000, but it's right around $1 million to $1.5 million for an inside linebacker.
For an inside linebacker.
Who even saw Charles Power, who ranks these players, say he didn't have the traits, even though he looks like he's been a great high school linebacker. His traits were lacking. And me and Smooch looked at that and said, whoa.
Yeah.
He didn't quite have those
measurables.
The traits weren't all there
to justify
all that. But sometimes you fall in love with a player, or you lose on your first 2 choices in Griffin and Rouse.
Yeah.
And then you can't lose on the next linebacker.
Well, the college recruiting game loves hype. And I will hand it to Atkinson, man. He created an industry, literally actually created an industry around himself. And hats off to him, man. He really did. Yeah. But he really did create an industry around himself. So that's good too. But it's just the new landscape, man. It is confusing. That's the reason it's hard to talk about this in definitive terms, because the industry is changing. As we sit here, there will be something different tomorrow than there is today.
Which is entertaining, but
it is entertaining, but it still makes you kick your dog every once in a while.
It does. And we'll see what Coach Smart's response is. We do anticipate that he's like, sometimes the best thing about Coach Smart, other than him being just sensational at his job, he's like a fan a lot of times. So if he's got a trigger to pull, he knows the right time to pull it. And it feels, sometimes it reflects what the way the fans feels like, what happened? And bam. Oh, thank you, Coach.
Yeah.
But talking about a different landscape, me and Smooch in 3 days we'll be on a much different landscape. But we want to take our dog fans along with us. We're going to be lost in Alaska. And so if you see any taglines that say lost in Alaska, Troop and Smooch, the dog show, know that we're going to be sending you some things that are going on from the 49th state, the last frontier up in Alaska. And the temperatures there, I've been watching the temps between Palmer, Anchorage, and Cooper's Landing to Homer, all the way through there. And it looks like the lows of 50, high of like 68.
I can deal with that.
It's much different than what we're feeling now in the Southeast. So
I hadn't felt 68 in 2 months.
When you're packing hoodies, you know that it's going to be a whole different landscape.
Right.
So we're gonna fly out Friday, and we will be in Anchorage by Saturday, early Saturday, when we start getting out and seeing some landscape.
Yeah.
And so we'll be all over the place. And we'll be, just for you folks who know a little bit about Alaska, we'll be in Anchorage on Saturday, and we're going to move on up. It's rare to go up or north to Palmer and do a little hiking up there at Hatcher's Pass. And then Sunday, we're going to head right on back down and all the way down to I think, Cooper Landing, which is where our home base is, the Kenai Princess Lodge, and Smooch is in love with that place.
I am in love. I want to be buried there.
Yes, right. A beautiful lodge, and the Kenai River, or just Russian River, is right there, down below it. And we have a great time there.
When you say down below it, you mean like 800 feet below it,
yes,
right?
we look over the deck.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
From dinner, yes. And then that's our home base. And we got a 32-foot RV, and we're going to go every morning. We'll go fishing, which we'll travel to Soldotna it's about an hour away.
Mm-hmm.
And Troop will get up for everybody. Everybody's still sleeping. I'll drive us there by 5 or 6 o'clock.
The way I wake up every morning on the Alaska trip is the jostling of the RV because Troop's driving us to the next place.
That's the word, jostling.
And I'm still drooling because there aren't really roads there. There's suggestions. And
Smooch is jostled out of his solid, heavy slumber.
Absolutely.
And then by the more I'm like clapping my hands. I'm like, let's go. Put your waders on. Let's do this. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning, but it's only dark in Alaska dark is not even the real term.
No.
I think during the summer it's dark from 12 a.m. right around there to 3 a.m. But then it's just like a dusky.
It's just dim. Yeah.
It's dim. It's just dim. So. Mm-hmm. So you can fish anytime, but we have to get there because it's really competitive to get those fishing spots, and I will not be outdone on those. We'll be there and ready to roll.
Yeah,
putting our waders on and getting rigged up and out there to catch some salmon. We'll send you the pictures of all the beautiful red sockeyes that we're going to catch. We're going to fillet them right there on the river and pack them out. Yeah. And that's 3+ days of that before we head down to Homer to get it processed and to then enjoy the Homer Spit, which is another beautiful venue, really south. The farthest point on the Kenai Peninsula is the Homer Spit. And we'll be down there for a day, for a night, and before we head back up.
That's a place where the ships come, the fishing boats come in.
There's actually a TV show that's out of Homer. Which one is it? They're actually that fishing one of those fishing shows.
It's not Deadliest Catch, or is
it's one of those? It might be.
It's one of those, yeah. Because
they go to the Salty Dog, which will be at the Salty Dog too. Yeah,
yeah. If you've ever seen when you're watching those fishing show, the Deadliest Catch type of shows, yeah, you see the bar that they all end up in that has the thousands of dollar bills hanging from the ceiling and the wall. We'll be there, be putting our dog show dollar bill on the wall.
We're going to be drinking much beer they will serve us there for sure at the Salty Dog. They have, they've had us there a couple times, and actually last year as I'm driving by, there's a again. This is in central southeast Alaska, whatever you want to call it. It's central, south central Alaska, and there is a fellow with a Georgia jersey walking out of the Salty Dog as I'm driving by. I'm like, what? Look at it. I wanted to stop and yell at him, but I couldn't. I was in the RV. I was driving. I was like, I'm gonna park so I can get back up there and find this dude.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me?
We'll give him a business card this year.
Yeah. Well, that's the plan, folks. And we'll do some stuff from there. I don't know what the recruiting news is going to be in the next few days.
It's something huge is going to happen with us completely in the middle of nowhere with spotty internet and spotty reception. It's something huge is going to happen. It has to.
It has to. We felt it was important for us, and we did this a few months ago, to not just talk football, but to bring you folks along with our lives and what we have going on, and because we think we do some fun stuff.
Yeah,
and it's very interesting, I think, to know the people that you kind of get connected to them.
Yeah,
and so we don't let you guys in on stuff because that's something that not everybody gets to do, and we are very fortunate to do that.
The one thing that I didn't think. I never considered it when we talked about starting a pod a few years ago, is that you have these people, these folks, these friends, they become friends, people you didn't know before that listen to your show. You end up talking to them as much online as other friends in your life. You end up recognizing their social media handles and stuff like that. And so, that's kind of the thing. It's what we do to kind of reset the batteries. It's the only vacation I've ever been on, by the way, that exceeds expectations. You pack up and go to Disney or Rushmore or Grand Canyon. All those are awesome. But, okay, I've seen it. That's good. Alaska, I have literally been catching salmon while looking at a bald eagle and then having to move for a bear. We have done all of that. It's just a postcard out of a nature show all the time. And we're going to take our friends, many of whom we've never met, along with us.
That's right. Whole new friend group, and we want you guys to see a little portion of that. Maybe one day we'll do like a whole retreat. We've talked about that with some other things we do, some of our Bigfoot camps and in Alaska. Those are things that I think everybody would enjoy.
Well, Dog Nation takes some sort of sorry cruise. Why can't we do a dog show salmon fishing expedition with real men? Yes.
Yes, so we do have a storage unit in Anchorage that we put everything in. And unfortunately, my wife is from Alaska, so we have all the inroads in terms of people that have clued me in to where to be, where to go, where to catch fish, where to eat, where to stay. I know all those things. You don't have to take a cruise. People who take a cruise don't know anything. They don't have another idea, and that's okay.
Never experienced it.
They haven't. This is different than that. This is if you can't get eaten by a grizzly bear, then you probably aren't doing Alaska right.
It's like the difference between shooting a bullet and throwing it. It's like,
but yeah, our next broadcast, other than just little tidbits online, will definitely be from the 49th state, and we can't wait to be there. We'll bring you guys along, and don't give up. The Dawgs #2 recruiting class right now, and it's got a potential to even improve from that. And we're waiting for Kirby Smart's counter punch from
absolutely
for Smooch Moncrief. And this is Troop Brinson saying so long. We'll see you soon from the 49th state.
But if you want to win, come to the University of Georgia.
That's not it.
This is the Dog Show with Troop and Smooch.
Got it that time.
It's the Dog Show. It's the Dog Show. It's the Dog Show. It's the Dog Show.
Episode is therapy.
Yes. See, mentally, I was already in Alaska. I didn't even remember what the closing music button was.